The camera opens on Paddington Way, a small thoroughfare through the heart of Kensington. Brownstones line either side, but we can't see too far. It's nighttime. Fog has settled upon the road, and the orange glow of lanterns line the walkway as we pass one door after another. We find a familiar door, though, one belonging to the Doyle household. But instead of approaching those 3 steps, we go around to the side. There we find a slim woman of Asian and British descent, and a large Russian bearman, as they divert their attention between the well-maintained shrubs and a trellis that leads to a second-story window above. We pass them by and head to the servants' entrance. We descend the steps, and the door opens to reveal a small blonde woman clothed in a sturdy black dress, a white apron, and a wimple upon her head. She's a bit wobbly now. Clearly she's been crying, fresh tears upon her cheeks. A dwarf of stoic personality is seeking to both console her and usher her outside. We sweep over them and into the kitchen to find a towering ogre woman as she's stirring away at a cookpot, humming to herself off-key a tune about newfound romance. Her music drifts upwards along with the smells of the stew and fly into a grating high in the wall. Our camera goes dark, leaving behind the kitchen, but still hearing the echo of the cook's tune, until we arrive at another grating of dull brass. This one has holes finely machined in the shapes of clubs like those found on playing cards. We see pinpoints of light shining through, edges of the view fuzzy and distorted by the light until the grating is pulled away to reveal the smooth features of Monsieur Joyeux. They're peering straight at us, their hands coming up and reaching for us, disappearing for a brief time, and then returning into frame with 2 sets of children's boots in their hands. As we emerge from the grating, to the right we see a dwarf, well-dressed and rigid of frame, dexterous doctor's hands perusing the pages of a science book, and then returning it to the nightstand alongside a boy's bed. Lieutenant Albion Blackwell III is standing alongside the other bed in the room, the nightstand there holding more feminine accoutrement, but 2 books are out of place among the assorted wooden and porcelain figurines. Memoirs of a Police Sergeant and David Copperfield. Blackwell is studying a scrap of paper now. It's a playbill for King Lear at the Pavilion Theatre in Whitechapel. Just out of focus and over his shoulder, a pair of matchboxes reside in a cigar box, alongside lug nuts of all things. A closer look at the matchboxes reveal the number 10 on their faces, along with a stylized bell. Beyond Blackwell and back towards Dr. Loom and Monsieur Joyeux, we see them busily checking the other aspects of the room. The latter of the 2 has a hand resting on a hidden pocket of their vest, where they've secreted away an object we can't see at the moment. Dr. Loom sends his withering gaze towards one of the 2 windows in the room. The lamplit streets of Kensington are beyond, the ever-present fog catching moisture in the air and sending it down to the pavement below. We follow outside, where we see a white trellis interwoven with plant growth, but showing signs of frequent passage. At the base of it stands Miranda Russell and Dove Poulsen. They're studying the trellis when we, as the audience, hear the faint whimpers of the woman and the soft whispers of a male voice unintelligible at this distance.
And that's where we open. So, hopefully we have a little bit of a recap there. It's been a while since we've been together, but welcome back to InnRoads Plays. Got the group together. Unfortunately, we are missing the brave Lieutenant Blackwell, but we will forge ahead and make the best of the situation. So, yeah. So what, as far as like where everything is at, the kinds of things that you guys have discovered so far, we could do kind of a quick round table to kind of remember where, what clues we've found so far, and obviously the budding romance between Dr. Lim and Edna.
My personal favorite part.
Yeah, and Dove's matchmaking expertise, and also his expertise at making small-framed women faint. So there's that part too.
He cannot help being impressive to look at. I can't help this.
Dove is Dove. Eh? Any questions that y'all have as far as like where we're at, anything that you want to kind of, review? What do you think?
From what I remember, Dove and Miranda, excuse me, were outside, and we had seen some signs that someone might have crawled in or out of the window. Is that right?
There was definite signs that the trellis outside had been climbed on.
Okay. And I think where we left off, we said we were going to head in and see if we could see anything from that point. Is that right, or were we going to do more outside?
I think that was our intention, was to, we're like, hey, somebody clearly took these kids, or they ran away.
Yeah, this is the way that they left, whether it was on their own or not.
Yeah, whether it was of their own volition or not, it happened here.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. I seem to remember that during the scene within the study or the den, there was a couple of items that were found, or 2 or 3 or 4 items that were found. There was the statuette,
jade statue.
Yeah, the jade statuette that
the one we joked that I was going to try and fix with peppermint gum.
There you go. Very nice, very nice.
What statue? I haven't seen a statue.
Experimental work. And then there was the Aerostat tickets from Hong Kong that was dated 2 weeks ago. There was also something that Dr. Loom had managed to abscond with. I don't know if you happen to remember that, Dr. Loom.
I remember that I was stealing things.
There was one particular item that you were able to get. You happen to remember or no?
Nope. I was thinking it was the jade statue, but it was something else.
No, I think Joyo nicked that one.
Yeah, that was the thing I thought.
And the jade statue was the one where there were 2 similar ones, or we thought that there should be a matching one?
Yeah, I thought there should be a matching one, but it looks like it's an extra rather than a...
Yeah. But you were able to take the first sheet of a notepad that had indentations on it, so you were going to hopefully do the
little rubbing. That's right.
Yeah. So you have that. You have discussed a little bit the children's tutor. I think Dove and I think it was Dove, Miranda, and Joyo, and I think Dr. Lim asked a couple questions. I'm trying to remember, but you were questioning Caroline about Professor Smythe, among other things. So we were able to get some information from them.
Yeah, we were intrigued because we eventually talked to her by herself, which is why Dove basically made her pass out. Because he knew she knew something, but she wasn't talking about it.
Right. So, okay. And then it was up to the upstairs room. I think Dove and Miranda opted to go around back. That's when, or on the side, that's when you saw the trellis and everything. And
everybody else went up to the kids' room.
Right. That's right. It was led by Mrs. Torbo, up to the children's room to view what is available. So that's where some of the other items were found. I was able to pull together some pictures to kind of add to the clue menagerie. So that's where we're at right now on Roll20. So you can kind of see that. I think that's showing up on the broadcast. Yeah, there it is. So on the top left is like one example of one of the matchboxes that's there. Bottom left is the shoes, obviously, that were found. And then there's the playbill for the King Lear play. So there you go. So I think when we closed, I went back and listened to like the last part of the last episode of the Edna equation, and found that we closed on Dove and Miranda hearing somebody crying over to the side, like near the servants' entrance. So that's kind of where we can kind of open things up. So it's, if you recall, it's still nighttime. Mm-hmm. It's got not a drastic chill in the air. It's late August, so it still has
still has that ever-present fog and moisture around. So there we go. So we'll kind of open up the scene there with this. How tall are you, Dove, again? Like 8 feet, 9 feet tall?
Yeah, I'm 7 and change.
There you go. So we've got the 7 and change mighty Dove Poulsen standing next to the slim figure of slim and diminutive figure of Miranda Russell. By comparison.
Let me see if I wrote down how tall I am. I'm curious to know the height difference at this point. I don't think I have it handy. Oh well. I'm small.
We have you two out there.
I'm back.
And Joy's back. We have Joy again. So we'll open up there. So what are you guys doing?
So we heard something, right? We should go check it out.
Yeah, if Dove hears somebody crying, he's going to go check it out.
Mm-hmm. All right, yes, that's where we're going. Following the sound of the tears.
All there is tears. So you both head over to the service entrance, and it has that, again, you have that the low fence that's around the entire household there. And in fact, I have, for your viewing pleasure, there we go. Move everybody over here.
Ooh.
And on the top right of the map is kind of the view of the front end of the house of the Doyle residence, and then you kind of go around to the right, and that's where you'll have the that side entrance with the trellis and everything that's involved. And when you're looking at this front door, the den room that you guys were in, or the what was that called? Receiving room? I forgot what I called it. Yeah, it's just the den. That's what I labeled it as. Is on that right hand side where the bay window is. So there you go. Just kind of giving you guys perspective. You guys have seen a few places in the house, so you'll have the first floor is there, available for view. And then in that center area, right here, that's kind of like the back entrance where you guys came in. And then here's obviously the stairs that go up, and then you look over onto the map to the right is the second floor. And it shows where the children's room is. Okay. So there you are. And so you guys arrive over at the at that side entrance, and you see Caroline is there. She's still kind of a little faint, but she's actually tearing up. She is crying. She's the one who's been whimpering. And as you guys are coming around the corner, you see that the dwarf, the head butler, is there, Mr. Straub, trying to calm her, but obviously being a little bit not so up to the task of trying to do this. He's there. Please, just calm yourself, my dear. Perhaps you should come back inside. And he's trying to calm her down, and she's just just in this kind of this little meek frame, crying a bit to herself. It's not like an uncontrollable thing. It's just like like
come inside, have a cup of tea.
Right. So, what do you guys do?
Well, as long as the dwarf is there, I'm just kind of hanging back, because he just doesn't sit well with me. He's that kind of stuffy, obnoxious dude. So I know I'm gonna at least kind of wait and not approach yet.
Which is good, because I think you would terrify her again. So,
well, the other thing too, I don't know if, I'm pretty sure you guys were still at the bottom of the stairs, because I remember Mrs. Torbo made a snide remark in German to Dove, and Dove responded, "Yeah, I can be nasty in Russian," or in a different language as well.
Yeah, but I did in fact say that I can be, terrible in several languages as well. Yeah.
And I think you overheard her discussing with Lieutenant Blackwell that Mr. Straub had served in the Northumberland Fusiliers, and actually had lost his leg in the war.
I don't remember that part. Okay.
Yeah, so I think you guys heard that as they were heading upstairs. It's one of those things where she feels free to discuss something with somebody of stature,
and pretends like you guys don't exist. So it was one of those things.
Okay.
So in any case.
So hang on. Pardon me. When we're walking up, do they see us, or are we around a corner, or?
Yeah, I mean, this area is pretty well lit, so they're going to see, at the very least, they're going to see the imposing frame of Dovepul's. And
so Miranda will quietly say to Dove in Russian, "Just wait here. Let me see what I can do," and then very, calmly, quietly, she'll approach the two of them. It's Carolyn, right?
Caroline.
Caroline. Okay, that's fine. My dear Caroline, is whatever is the matter? Is there anything that I can do to help?
She looks up and you can see her eyes. There's like this soft light coming from above where the stair goes down like maybe 5 steps, and then there's the doorway entrance to the servants area. And there's this light above that kind of bathes her, and she looks up, and she's her eyes are a bit red-rimmed, and she's got a bit of a flush to the cheeks because obviously just a few moments ago she had passed out. But she looks up and she starts to say something, and Mr. Straub says, "No reason to fluster her anymore. Why don't you? Is there something that you're looking for out here? Perhaps." Leave the poor child alone, and Caroline just like it's okay, Mr. Straub. It's okay.
Dove from where he's standing, I'm basically gonna, loud enough that Miranda can hear it, but not loud enough that I'm making a scene of being the giant bear in the shadows around the corner.
Boo.
I'm basically going to say in Russian, the dwarf is hiding something or covering for someone.
Okay. Mr. Straub, perhaps what Carolyn could use most is just some female companionship at the moment. So I would be more than content, more than happy to just, stand here a few moments and help calm her tears as only a woman can. It's perfectly fine if you want to go back inside, and Carolyn will be in perfectly good hands right here. As you know, Mrs. Doyle trusts us to be in the house and the property and has given us permission to speak to all of her staff, so I'm sure that you would trust Mrs. Doyle's judgment and understand that I mean no ill to lovely Carolyn here.
Yeah, Mr. Straub, this is a girl thing.
Exactly. a woman's tears,
Very nice, very nice. Okay. So Mr. Straub, taking that into account, I was going to have you roll something, but that was actually well done. I'll just let that go.
She invoked Mrs. Doyle on him.
I know, yeah. Well, it's that, but also
the power of a woman.
Yeah. But the other thing, too, is that you're picking up on something else that, he's just unequal to the task of trying to comfort this woman, and he's kind of at a point where it's like, I really don't want to deal with this anymore.
Right.
So he takes a step back, and he kind of like almost dutifully hands you a very nice handkerchief. Says, he's handing over a rifle to somebody, right, off the battle with you, something like that. So he hands it over to you, and as you take the handkerchief, you notice on it that it's actually monogrammed with KS on there. So and he says, "Well, in that case, yes, good evening. If you need anything, any refreshment or water, especially you, dear Caroline, feel free. Your kitchen is open." Right then, I have duties. And he turns around and he does the full heel to step thing, and you hear it. I don't know if Dove might not be able to hear it just because of Dove.
No, Dove won't hear it.
But Miranda, you actually hear the whirring and gears of something mechanical, and the little expulsion of steam as he turns on heel
and then walks away.
One thing that, and I'm going to try hard not to meta, I do think that this would be something that Dove would know because of the fact that he works with machinery.
Yeah.
Those aren't cheap. The fact that a servant has a clockwork leg probably means he owes someone big time. Either he did a favor, or he's someone's favorite, or something happened, because literally, and it's funny too, because the last game I ran of Victoriana, Alyssa actually did a character that had one, and his secret was that he had a mechanical limb that he was deeply in debt for. So those are not cheap, are not easy to come by.
So there's more to, and we would be aware of that as well. I mean, the approximate costs of something, not in detail.
Yeah,
you would
understand that it's expensive.
I think Dove would probably know a lot. I think the doctor would, because it's a significant amount of surgery to get. Like, they actually broke down in the book the mechanics of how to attach a mechanical limb.
We can do our own surgery.
Yes, it is.
It's all step by step. It's clockwork by numbers. It's totally
they did stat out how to do surgery.
Right.
But so he would probably know that. Everyone else would probably just know, oh my goodness, it costs, well,
an arm and a leg.
A literal arm and a leg. It just costs a literal leg. That's it. It was just a leg.
Exactly.
But
I wonder if he would miss it if it went missing.
So what we would know, though, we would all know that, and that might lead Miss Russell to think that, along with Dove, that there's just more to Mr. Straub than meets the eye.
Yeah.
So, we don't know whether it's good or bad, but there's more to him than we would see at first glance.
Could be a fair assessment. Yeah.
Okay. So while he's, marching himself off to his freedom, unencumbered by Caroline,
Right.
Miss Russell would kind of stand very close to her, maybe put a hand on her arm and help her to kind of calm down, and a few deep breaths, and dab her cheeks with the handkerchief there. Just, not even really saying anything except little murmurs of, okay, so all right, my dear, that kind of thing.
Right.
And maybe comments about those men just don't understand a woman, that kind of, just to kind of get her to calm down and trust me a little bit.
Sure.
And then once if she calmed down and seemed, a little bit less flustered, then I would ask, would you tell me what it is that has you so upset? Clearly, we did notice upstairs that something seemed to be troubling you, and now to find you in tears like this, I'm just very concerned for you, my dear.
So she studies your face for a bit, and her eyes are kind of quivering, her lips are quivering as well, as she's kind of weighing her options at this point. And she says, I don't wish to besmirch the children. That is all. There's this. And she kind of she dabs at her eye. Did you give her the handkerchief? I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay. So she kind of dabs at her eyes and, brushes at her nose, and she says, she looks back over her shoulder at the door to the servants' quarters, and she kind of leans in close to you and says, the children are just dreadful. They're little monsters. I don't know. I do the best I can with them. I try to take care of them as best I can. But they're little devils. Devils in disguise. And she kind of feels like she's can breathe a little easier by saying it.
Gotcha. Okay, so when she says that, again, Miss Russell would put a hand on her arm. Oh, my dear, that must be so difficult for you, to have to deal with such unruly children, and to have no real recourse. I'm guessing that Mrs. Doyle and Mr. Doyle don't take a firm hand with the children.
Oh, certainly not. That's not their place. Mr. Doyle is quite busy, very frequently out of town on his expeditions and gatherings, but he has a business to run, and Mrs. Doyle is entirely too busy trying to manage the house. Even with Mrs. Turbo and Mr. Straub, she still is very busy, but she does love her children. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, of course.
But they just...
Who is in charge of providing that discipline?
It would normally be me. Obviously not corporal punishment. We frown upon that sort of thing in this household. But yes, normally the meting of punishment will either come from myself or Mrs. Torbo, as permitted by Mr. and Mrs. Doyle.
And the children just run roughshod over you, my dear?
Well, and it's at this point that I'm going to ask for a perception check. And this can be, I think perception already goes off of wits. Is that
I think so.
Is that the correct statement? I believe so. So yeah. Let's have you do that.
Perception.
And we'll just be one. Well, actually, how many dice do you have in perception?
I don't know. I have it set up just to hit it automatically. Let's see what I have here.
Oh, that's right. You got your macros. See, kids at home, macros are fun.
I think that I have 3 in wits, and then there's 1 more in perception, so I think it's 4.
Okay. That works.
Are there any black dice on this?
I'm gonna give you 1. Just 1 black die, because she's emotionally compromised right now. So.
Okay.
Right,
there's 1. There's a... No, 2s and 4s.
That's good.
But then a 1, a failure.
That's okay. So, alright, so you got a 6. And then
I rolled just on the off chance. I had 3 black dice because I automatically have 2, and then you added the 1. I got a success, and no successes on the black dice. I actually heard something, if there's something to be heard.
All right. Very cool. I'm glad you rolled. All right. So, Miranda, so what are you focusing on right now that maybe has caused you to miss something? What are you thinking so far as she's telling you this?
So what I'm thinking is that the children are very unruly, and my brain is starting to wander and to go down different paths. If they're this rotten, did they just sneak out on their own?
That was my thought.
Yeah. Rather than, we're looking for something more nefarious. Could it be simply that the children are, like they're the children from Mary Poppins? That they've wandered out and they're being brought back by the policeman.
Listen, Occam's razor.
Exactly. So could it be that? And then I'm also feeling badly for Carolyn because she's so clearly upset. But I'm pleased that we seem to be getting somewhere. So my brain is, kind of going in a bunch of different directions, and I might not be paying, quite enough attention. Or maybe, the bear's scratching back there or something and listening to him too.
I don't do that in public.
But when I do, I use a back scratcher. Okay, so...
I have a tree in the shop. That's how that works.
Oh, gosh. Of course you do.
So Dove, for you, there is... Hey, Miranda, can I have you pull your earplugs for a sec?
Just wave at me when you need me back.
Okay.
Should we pull ours too, or no?
Nah, it's okay. Actually, yeah, go ahead. Dr. Loon, Joy, go ahead and pull your...
All right.
Ooh, secret information.
All right, so, Mr. Dove, so what are you doing when you actually are able to hear this? You're
I'm basically, because of the fact that I'm around the corner, there's absolutely no reason for me to try and see anything because it's pointless.
Right.
So I'm basically like pressed up against the corner and like back to the wall kind of thing, and just shutting off everything that isn't that conversation.
Okay. So as you're doing that, as you're kind of whittling it down, and she's responding to Miss Russell's question about, is there something that what do the children do that get under your skin, or it must be so terrible to have to deal with them, and she's about to say something, but she stops, and the specific reason that she stops that you pick up on, pleading the fifth. The right to not self-incriminate. Of course,
Yeah.
famous on our shores, not so much in Britain, but hey, it had to come from somewhere. So yeah, so she had something to say, but she gave pause.
The bear's gonna have fun with this one.
All right, I'm gonna bring it back.
Nothing says good times like a bear coming out of the shadows.
Okay, so I had to watch very carefully because a few times Jeff does this thing.
Jeff,
I know.
where
I'm very.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm only a quarter Italian, but that's all focused in my hands.
Oh, yeah.
So
Exactly. I almost got a shirt that said, warning, Italian hands.
I saw your post. That was awesome.
I was like, I need that shirt. That's so weird.
There's a reason I frame the camera like this, because off camera you don't see my hands doing all the things that they're doing.
Well, I realize now that I have this mic down here that I can actually like push my camera back a little bit, so now I can actually kind of get some stuff in frame.
It was
Jazz
entertaining.
hands.
It was almost like charades with everyone.
So basically we're going to try and make it so I don't want to scare. Let me be more specific. I do kind of want to scare her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But not to fainting degree.
I want to shoot for not fainting, but
Yeah.
I want her to be worried about the fact that I just stepped out of the shadows.
Okay.
So I'm going to be calm and very reserved. I'm going to stand up straight and, tuck in the shirt, but I am going to try to loom heavy as I go. As I basically I come around out of the shadows and go, I do believe you have a little more to say.
So, all right. So are you putting an intimidate on her, or what do you think?
Oh dear.
Oh my goodness.
I kind of think I am. I don't remember if I have the skill or not.
You do. You have a
do.
rank 1 in there.
Oh, I have all sorts of fun things. Let's see.
And it's off a present, so.
Am I getting any black dice on this bad boy?
No. And not at all, because you've already established the fact that you're imposing.
I was going to say, if
not even
nothing
by
else,
doing anything, just.
He's already scared her in the past. I mean, she should have an extra success.
So what do we got?
Well, the good news is I didn't fail, but I didn't succeed either. So
Okay.
it literally just comes off as a suggestion. I do believe you have more to say. Like it's not intimidating. It's just a statement of fact.
Just an observation.
Yeah.
Right. So she kind of felt your presence there. Obviously, the lane right here is well lit, and the big looming shadow of I keep wanting to say the big Dr. Looming shadow of Tolson is right there.
Yeah, Dr. Loom does no looming whatsoever.
Yeah,
Well, he might have a big shadow depending on the
He
light.
can because he's on the second floor now, so he can loom now. So
Have somebody hold a light behind him so his shadow stretches.
Yeah. But
Nobody hides the light behind a dwarf.
I would not be put into bad lighting. So she looks up at you and she says, and her eyes kind of flicker over to where the trellis is, right? And so she begins to speak, and the camera kind of looks up, and we see Joyo looking out the window briefly, and we kind of bring ourselves up to the second floor. And in the background, Lieutenant Blackwell is holding up this cigar box that has a couple of items of interest in there. And he lays it on the bed, and he, basically kind of indicates that it might be something to look at, but he has a couple of questions for Mrs. Torbo for the moment. And he gives a glance.
A conversation that's happening off screen.
Exactly.
Yes.
He glances over at Dr. Loom, and, there's kind of a brief exchange there, unspoken. And it may harken back to, while there is a kind of tete-a-tete relationship between the two of them, being of strong personality, both, there is perhaps something that might have been built a few months ago. There may have been some form of respect that might have been built a few months ago. So he kind of looks to you and says, in no spoken words, he's looking at you, and then he looks at Monsieur Joyeux as he's looking out the window, and kind of like, you keep an eye on him. And so he departs the room and heads over, and you hear him calling for Mrs. Torbo as he closes the door behind him. So yeah. So
I appreciate the trust put in me.
I had to re-listen to a few of the things that he was saying, so hopefully I'm not saying anything out of character. And Nate, you can totally correct me, and we can retcon that as much as you want. And for those kids at home, retcon means to repair the damage you've done narratively to a game in the past. So anyway. So we're in the room. We have some of the clues that have been found so far. We've got the matchbox with the kind of stylized bell. There's a number 10 that's kind of inset in the bell. I think I still have you guys over on the. I'll put you back onto the clues map here real quick, just so you can see that. There's the boots. There's the playbill. There's the connection to Professor Smythe. Let's see here. Let me go through some of the other stuff that was found. There were inside the cigar box. There was a couple of lug nuts, like the ceiling lug nuts that were there. Looks like they've got bits of wood and other types of debris still in the threads. And then the playbill, and then the matchboxes. There is also the science books and the assignments set up from Professor Smythe that Dr. Loom, you were probably looking at. So, how's the scene open? I think Monsieur Joyeux, you just found the boots.
Yeah.
Take it away.
What is the point of finding the children if this is the tripe that they're going to be given to read? He slams the science book closed, puts it back on the shelf.
Well,
completely worthless.
The same as you, Dr. Loom, and I'm going to hold up the shoes.
What's that? What do you have there? Dr. Loom comes over to look at the shoes.
Looks like our little lost limbs are not quite so helpless on their own. Some midnight adventures on our hands.
Is there mud on the shoes or something of that nature?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. He said yes.
There's I mean they're definitely well worn. I mean, kids' shoes are kids' shoes, yeah, definitely. but these definitely have seen some use. Yeah.
That proves nothing.
Well, the interesting thing is also the place where it was found. So there's that.
Yeah.
So we think that we are chasing some runaways then?
Quite possibly.
With textbooks like this, who could blame them? Probably ran off to a library.
Clearly they went in pursuit of great science.
And when you find them, they'll be toting their books along behind them. Sure.
Right. Yeah. They'll be on they're on their way back right now from the library, that's for sure.
They're doing a Matilda. They got the little red wagon behind them.
Oh my goodness! This is what my mind does. I don't know if it's just the fact that it's late or whatever, or the fact that I love imagining.
Put her in the chokey.
No, I I just have this amazing image of like a children's cartoon version of Dr. Loam with children behind him, and over the top of it a banner that says "For Great Science."
And it's on recording, so it can happen. It can still happen. That's cool. New assignment, kids. Get to work.
Some twisted version of the Pied Piper, you know.
Yeah.
He lures them away with great science.
Yeah.
The Pied Scientist.
And grumpy attitude.
So very well, let's examine your hypothesis. 2 young children decide to run away. They don't take their shoes, which are obviously well broken in, and they go where?
You didn't look out the window?
Looks out the window.
So there's the trellis that's there. You can see where the vine and shrubbery has kind of grown in through the trellis and everything, but there's a clear area where it's been or a cleared area so that somebody could pass through.
So they exit out the window and go.
And I could pick up the playbill and hold that up. It's one of many places.
They go to a play. Well, that would at least be preferable to these ridiculous science lessons.
So, come up with your science lessons.
How far away would the where does it say the play being held at?
Whitechapel.
Yeah, it's in Whitechapel. As far as distance goes, it's not, for an adult, it's not tremendous, but, I mean, the idea is also that Whitechapel is Whitechapel, and you're in Kensington right now. Whitechapel, it's kind of like, gosh, I could do a local comparison, I don't know about it, what it would be like in Boise, but, you know, all of the things you've heard about Whitechapel outside of game is true inside game. So it's just a bad area of town.
It's where the Ripper murders happened. I mean, this is not a pleasant part of town.
Well, it's not for the fact that it was just the Ripper murders, but it's also the fact that who was getting murdered was the prostitutes that proliferate the area. So
the Boise area, that would be Garden City.
Oh, there you go. So this is your Garden City, my friend.
I apologize to anyone listening from Garden City.
From Garden City.
The statements expressed by Dr. Loom do not represent the statements or beliefs of InnRoads Ministries. So, there you go.
Okay, so the children, they leave of their own free will. There's no sign of a struggle. They climb out the window, and they go to someplace else. So perhaps we need to find out if they have any friends. How old are the children?
Let's see here. I have the ages. I have them.
Unlike Dr. Loom, they probably do have friends.
And they're missing. You see where this gets you?
You see what happens when you have friends? It gets you nothing. I believe it was 13 and 10. I'll double check that real quick. I should have had those. Such nonsense. 15 and 13. 15 and 13.
Teenagers.
Henrietta is the oldest, with Michael being 13.
So perhaps we need to find out if Miss Henrietta had any boys she was enamored with.
Well, aren't they younger seemingly though because they're Eldrin? So they're
they do. I mean, yeah, and you have. I think I had you guys on.
Yeah, they would seem younger. But...
What they look like here.
Yeah, I mean their age is Eldrin-ish, not strictly human.
So here's the old pictures. So you've got Henrietta, and you've got Michael, and then the father is human, Henry Doyle. You guys remember that painting that was in the den that had him and Mrs. Doyle alongside. So yep. Reasonable assessment.
Yeah, the children do look young, but I mean, ultimate the years. So.
What to do is set evidence.
Where would rotten little children run away to?
And they've got a whole city of
places.
Misadventures to find themselves in.
Right.
They do. Dr. Loom is going to continue to examine his room. He's going to look and see if there's a large number of empty hangers, if there are any bags in the room that someone would logically take if they were going to go somewhere. Any evidence of premeditated
they were
travel.
leaving for a while.
Yeah. Look in the bathroom for any personal items that may be missing, that sort of thing.
All right. Well, the bathroom is probably outside of where you're at. It's not in this particular room, so bump you guys over to the Doyle map. And you guys are going to be on the second floor. So that's the drawing on the right. And you guys are currently in the... I'll shift ping you. So that's a trick there, kids. Hold shift and then click down for the cursor to activate and roll 20. That brings everybody to the same spot. Okay. So you guys are there. There's all along this area here is it's the hallway that stretches out. There's another hallway that leads this way. You've got the banister right here that overlooks the first floor, and then obviously here's the stairs where you came up.
Okay, so we probably begin in the children's room. Let's look for missing clothes, missing bags, pairs of boots that they would have taken if they were going to travel that are either not there or left behind, that sort of thing.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. What sort of skills does Dr. Loom possess?
All of them.
Assist. I have all of the skills.
He possesses a very particular set of skills.
I have a very particular set of skills. Alright, so you got your perception based off of wits. I don't think research would tie into this because that's more book stuff. But yeah, go ahead and do a perception check. No dice, no black die penalty. What are you doing while he's doing that, Joy? Are you also looking around?
You know what? I might take a look at that the inside of that grate again and see if I can find evidence that there was more than one set of shoes. Because what he mentioned that they left the shoes behind. If they went on their own, and that was their only set of adventuring shoes,
right?
He wouldn't have left that those.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Go for it.
All right. So that'd be a perception for the.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so you got 2 successes there, no black die penalty. So 2 successes for Dr. Loom. And then once you enjoy it, I'll await your roll.
I can't find my icon for that. But that's it. Nah, screw it. We'll do this by hand.
So.
What my character.
Do I not have your... You know what? I got to get your guys' characters on here. That's the problem. I'm sorry about that. Let's see here. So I will put... Yo. Dr. Loom. Let's get you guys assigned. Nope. Not Miranda Russell. Yo.
Here I am.
Save. There you are. And then... Dr. Loom, I think you're already assigned, are you?
Let's
see. No, you're not. Sorry.
Nope.
There you are. Okay. So now you're good to go. So there you go. Now if you click on your avatar, you should have your little skill macros assigned.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Did you find yours there?
Yep.
Monsieur Joyol? Alright.
2. Any black dice?
No black dice.
Wow.
What?
Holy crap.
So, again, my fault, gang, out there watching in TV land. Unfortunately, I didn't put the roll connection here, but keep in mind that the roll was 2 dice, and there is a 6, a 6, and a 6. So that's already bad enough. But then we had 2 1s as well. So that's 5 successes off of 2 dice. Don't forget, there's exploding dice here. So, yeah, pretty awesome. So that means that you rolled a 2, and then on 1 dice you exploded 3 times.
You see smells at this point.
Yeah.
Wait, do I just magically find the children now? Were they hiding the greatest time?
You reach through a parallel universe and you pull them out.
You taste color at this point.
Who tastes colors? You're awesome. Okay, so you reach into the place, into that grating again, and along the side, as you're kind of like peering inside, and you reach into there, and there's a small panel, like a wooden panel that, as you're kind of tapping along, you find that, part of it's kind of like metal, and then all of a sudden there's like this loose portion of it, and you pull it aside, and you withdraw it, and there's a bundle of little envelopes, like, about yay big, and they're wrapped in twine, and you pull those out, and you open it, or you just look at the front, and in kind of a beautiful flowing script, it says, "My dearest Caroline." So let's go to break.
Oh, let's look at you!
Let's go to break and
dropping the bomb and then going to break.
We'll be right back. Well, I also noticed that we're at 50 minutes now, so I don't want to cut this episode. So hopefully everybody stuck with it, but we shall be right back.